Good evening, my friends. What if I told you that the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, spent years and millions of dollars researching a technique that proves your imagination is not wishful thinking, but a direct pathway to altering reality? What if I told you that buried in declassified government documents, there exists scientific validation for everything the law of assumption teaching us about imagination and the power of consciousness? And what if I told you that these documents, available for anyone to read, describe the exact same principles that Neville Goddard taught decades ago, but in the cold clinical language of government science? This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is documented, declassified, government-verified research into the mechanics of consciousness and reality creation. Tonight you're going to discover why the CIA believed, no, why they proved, that consciousness is not confined to your brain, that reality is not what your senses report, and that you have the ability to access and alter the fundamental fabric of existence through focused attention and imagination. They called it the Gateway Project, and it validates everything Neville Goddard ever taught. In 1983, the CIA commissioned a report, not about weapons, about consciousness. They wanted to know, can human consciousness operate outside the physical body? Can focused attention alter reality? Can imagination access information beyond the five senses? For years, this research remained classified. Top secret, eyes only. But in 2003, it was declassified, released to the public, and most people never noticed. Because who would believe that the CIA was seriously researching out-of-body experiences, altered states of consciousness, and the nature of reality itself? But they were. And what they found will change how you understand manifestation forever. The project was called Gateway, and its purpose was to explore and document a specific technique using something called hemisync, binaural audio frequencies that synchronize both hemispheres of the brain, to achieve what they called expanded states of consciousness. Let me walk you through what the CIA discovered. The Gateway Project documented a specific progression of consciousness states, each one representing a different level of awareness and reality access. They called these levels focus states. Focus 10 was described as mind awake, body asleep, a state where your consciousness is fully alert, but your physical body is completely relaxed, almost dissociated. In this state, participants reported heightened awareness, expanded perception, and a sense of consciousness existing independent of the physical form. Sound familiar? This is exactly what Neville described when he taught SATS, state akin to sleep. That drowsy state where your body is relaxed but your mind is vividly aware, capable of impressing the subconscious with imaginal acts. The CIA was documenting the same state Neville had been teaching since the 1940s. Focus 12 was described as expanded awareness, a state where consciousness begins to perceive beyond the limitations of physical senses. In this state, participants reported accessing information they couldn't have known through normal means, seeing events at a distance, perceiving probable futures, experiencing realities that hadn't yet manifested physically. Again, this is precisely what Neville meant when he said imagination is not fantasy, but perception of realities that exist in consciousness before they appear in the physical world. The CIA's Focus 12 is Neville's imaginal realm, the place where your desire already exists, waiting to be assumed into your experience. But here's where it gets even more profound. The Gateway documents describe reality not as solid matter, but as an energy matrix, a field of potentials, frequencies, and information. They explain that what we perceive as physical reality is actually consciousness organizing energy into patterns based on observation and attention. Let me read you an actual quote from the declassified document. The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is in and of itself one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. Do you understand what they're saying? Reality is not fixed, it's not solid, it's not happening to you. Reality is a holographic projection of consciousness, a field of infinite possibilities that collapses into specific experiences based on where attention is focused. This is exactly what Neville taught when he said consciousness is the only reality. The CIA documented it, they studied it, they proved it through repeatable experimentation. Your consciousness doesn't observe reality. Your consciousness creates reality by focusing attention on specific possibilities within the infinite field. And here's the key. The gateway documents explain that this energy matrix, this field of all possibilities, responds to sustained, focused attention combined with emotional resonance. Not thinking about what you want, not hoping for it, but experiencing it in consciousness with such vividness and feeling that you convince your own awareness it's already real. This is assumption, this is imagination. This is exactly what Neville taught, and the CIA confirmed it works. Now let me show you something that will make the connection undeniable. The gateway technique used hemisync audio, specific sound frequencies played in each ear, that forced the brain hemispheres to synchronize. Why? Because synchronized brain waves create a state of heightened suggestibility, where the conscious mind relaxes its critical filter and the subconscious becomes highly receptive to new information. In this state, imaginal acts bypass logical resistance and impress directly on the subconscious mind, which then begins reorganizing reality to match the impressed image. Now, does this sound familiar? This is precisely why Neville taught you to practice sats in the drowsy state before sleep. Because in that state, just like the hemisync state, your conscious mind relaxes, your brain waves slow, and your subconscious becomes incredibly receptive. The imaginal act you perform in that state bypasses all doubt, all resistance, all logical objection. It impresses directly on the creative level of mind. The CIA used technology to achieve what Neville taught you to achieve naturally, accessing the gateway state where consciousness can impress new patterns on the energy matrix of reality. Different methods, same gateway, same results. But the Gateway Project went even further. They documented something called Focus 15, described as no time, a state where consciousness exists outside linear time, able to access past and future simultaneously. In this state, participants reported experiencing desired outcomes as if they had already happened, not imagining them as future possibilities, but remembering them as completed events. Do you see it? This is living from the end. This is Neville's core teaching. You don't imagine your desire as something coming in the future. You experience it in consciousness as already done, as a memory of something that has already occurred. And when you do this, when you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled so completely that it feels like a memory rather than a hope, you've collapsed the timeline. You've accessed Focus 15. You've moved outside linear time. You've selected the reality where your desire is already manifested and brought your awareness to that timeline. The CIA documented this. They proved participants could access information from timelines where events had already occurred differently than the current physical timeline. They proved that consciousness exists beyond time, that all possibilities exist simultaneously, and that focused attention determines which possibility you experience as your reality. This is quantum physics meeting ancient mysticism. This is science validating spirit, and it's exactly what Neville taught. Now let me connect another crucial piece. The Gateway documents explicitly state that consciousness is not produced by the brain. It's not confined to the physical body. It's not limited to the material world. They describe consciousness as existing in a non-physical energy matrix, a realm beyond the physical senses, where all information, all possibilities, all potentials exist simultaneously. And here's the critical part. They explain that this non-physical realm is more fundamental than physical reality. It's the source, the cause, the creative level. Physical reality is the effect, the projection, the manifestation of what exists first in the non-physical realm. Neville called this the imaginal world, the realm of consciousness where your desire already exists in perfect, complete form. The CIA called it the non-physical energy matrix. Different names, same reality. And both frameworks agree on this crucial principle. What you experience in this non-physical realm, what you assume, what you embody, what you feel is real in consciousness, must eventually manifest in physical form. Because the non-physical is cause, the physical is effect. Consciousness is primary. Matter is secondary. This isn't spiritual philosophy anymore. This is documented government research. Now let me show you how the Gateway findings explain why assumption works. The documents describe reality as a holographic interference pattern, different frequencies of energy creating different experiential realities. Your current circumstances are one frequency. Your desired reality is a different frequency. Both exist simultaneously in the energy matrix. You're simply tuned to one frequency and not the other. Now here's what the gateway research proved. You can change which frequency you're tuned to through sustained focused attention combined with emotional resonance. When you assume your desire fulfilled, when you maintain that assumption consistently, when you feel it as real, when you think from it rather than about it, you're literally changing your consciousness frequency. You're tuning yourself to the frequency where your desire already exists. And as you maintain that frequency, as you persist in that assumption, your physical reality begins to reorganize. Not because you're creating something new, but because you're aligning with a reality that already exists at a different frequency. This is why Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption. Not because you're trying to convince the universe to give you something, but because you're changing your frequency to match the reality where you already have it. The CIA documented this exact mechanism. They just used words like resonance, frequency, and energy matrix, instead of assumption and imagination. Let me make this absolutely clear. Everything Neville Goddard taught, everything that skeptics dismissed as mystical nonsense or wishful thinking, has been validated by declassified CIA research. Neville taught, consciousness is the only reality. CIA documented, physical reality is a projection of consciousness operating in an energy matrix. Neville taught, imagination creates reality. CIA proved, focused consciousness can access and influence the fundamental energy patterns that determine physical manifestation. Neville taught, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret. CIA confirmed, emotional resonance combined with focused attention is the key to altering reality frequencies. Neville taught, all states exist now. You simply choose which one to occupy. CIA discovered, all possible timelines exist simultaneously in the energy matrix. Consciousness determines which one you experience. Neville taught, the imaginal act impressed on the subconscious becomes your reality. CIA researched, consciousness in heightened receptive states can impress new patterns on the energy matrix that then manifest physically. The parallels are not coincidental, they're confirmational. What Neville knew through spiritual insight, the CIA proved through scientific investigation. Your imagination is not fantasy. It's a gateway to actual existing realities. Your assumption is not positive thinking. It's frequency alignment with desired timelines. Your feeling of the wish fulfilled is not pretending. It's consciousness resonating at the frequency where the desire already exists. So how do you use this? How do you become your own gateway project? Let me give you the exact protocol combining CIA methodology with Neville's teachings. Step 1. Enter the gateway state. Before sleep every night, enter the state akin to sleep. Your body completely relaxed. Your mind alert but drowsy. This is your personal hemi-sync. This is focus 10. This is the gateway state where your subconscious becomes receptive. You don't need technology. You don't need CIA equipment. You just need the natural state Neville taught you to access. Step 2. Construct your imaginal act. In this state, construct one simple scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. Not a scene of getting your desire. A scene that assumes you already have it. Make it vivid. Engage all your senses. Make it feel so real that you forget you're imagining. This is your focused consciousness entering the non-physical energy matrix. This is you accessing the frequency where your desire exists. Step 3. Loop and impress. Repeat this scene over and over as you drift into sleep. Don't think about it. Experience it. Be in it. You're impressing this reality on your subconscious. You're training your consciousness to resonate at this frequency. You're doing what the gateway participants did, accessing alternate realities through focused consciousness. But you're doing it naturally, powerfully, exactly as Neville taught. Step 4. Maintain the assumption throughout the day. This is crucial. The gateway isn't just a nighttime practice. Throughout your waking hours, you maintain the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. You think from it, you speak from it. You make decisions from it. This is sustained frequency alignment. This is living from the end. This is consciousness choosing which reality to experience. Every time you drift back to your old assumption, your old frequency, you gently redirect back to your desired state. You're training your consciousness to naturally resonate at the frequency of your desire fulfilled. Step 5. Ignore contradictory evidence. The gateway documents explain something crucial. There's a time lag between consciousness shift and physical manifestation. When you change frequencies in consciousness, the physical reality takes time to reorganize and reflect the new frequency. During this time, you'll still see evidence of the old frequency, the old circumstances, the old reality. This is where most people fail. They see the unchanged circumstances and conclude it's not working, so they shift back to the old frequency. But Neville taught, and the CIA confirmed, that you must maintain the new frequency regardless of current physical evidence. The physical is always showing you your past frequency, your past assumptions, your past state. But as you persist in the new frequency, as you maintain your assumption despite appearances, the physical must eventually shift to match. For those of you who needed scientific proof, for those who struggled with faith, for those who wanted evidence that this isn't just spiritual fantasy, here it is. The CIA, the most secretive, most skeptical, most evidence-demanding organization in the world, spent years and millions of dollars researching consciousness. And they concluded, consciousness can access and influence reality beyond the physical senses. Focused attention combined with emotional resonance can alter the fundamental energy patterns that determine physical experience. They proved it, they documented it, they declassified it. Everything Neville taught is not just spiritual wisdom. It's verifiable, documented, scientifically observed reality mechanics. Your imagination is not wishful thinking. It's accessing the energy matrix. Your assumption is not pretending. It's frequency selection. Your feeling of the wish fulfilled is not fantasy. It's resonance with existing realities. The government proved it. Neville taught it. Now it's time for you to experience it. Tonight you have a choice. You can continue thinking of manifestation as some mystical, unreliable practice that sometimes works for lucky people. Or you can recognize that what you've been learning is documented, researched, government-verified science about how consciousness and reality actually operate. The gateway is real. The non-physical energy matrix is real. The ability to access alternate timelines through focused consciousness is real. And you have access to this gateway every single night through the state akin to sleep. You don't need CIA clearance. You don't need special technology. You don't need permission. You just need to do what Neville taught. Enter the state, construct the scene, feel it real, maintain the assumption, persist until it hardens into fact. The CIA proved it works. Neville taught you how to do it. The only question is, will you actually apply it? My friends, the greatest secret has been hiding in plain sight. Not in mystical teachings that require faith, not in spiritual philosophies that demand belief, in declassified government documents, in scientific research, in repeatable documented experiments. Consciousness is the only reality. Imagination creates your experience. Assumption determines which timeline you live in. This is not belief. This is not hope. This is not faith. This is documented fact. So tonight, when you enter the state akin to sleep, know that you're not engaging in wishful thinking. You're accessing the gateway. You're entering the energy matrix. You're aligning with frequencies where your desire already exists. You're doing what the CIA proved was possible. What Neville taught was natural. What you were born to do. You are consciousness. You are the creator. You are the gateway itself. Use it. Thank you and good evening. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.